So, hey everybody, how's everybody doing? It's Bitchy Plays here, and today I am bringing you another review video on a game that I've been wanting to do a review for a long time now, but I just never well, it wasn't that I didn't want to do a review for it, it was just, see, this game has a lot of choices and endings to it, so I was trying to get all the endings and everything as possibly as I can. But today, what I am doing is I am going over the game that came out not a couple of months ago, but a month ago, called Detroit Becomes Human. And my idea, the game as a whole, it was amazing. Like, it had its ups and it had some downs, like all games do. But overall, it was a very amazing game. See, the game takes place in a futuristic version of the world, or in this case, 10 years in the future. Well, not 10 years, but a good 20 years in the future, in 2035, where it's this company named CyberLife where they had created humanoid androids. And for what you see here, the character you play as, well, one of the three characters you play as is Connor, and he's an android. And they're pretty much they're just there to do what humans say. They just, they're kind of like, at this point, they're kind of like walking. They're like robotic human maids at this point. And pretty much what the story is supposed to do is it's telling the story of slavery in a sense. And what I'm talking about is the androids have been for years on year. Like, one of the things that you know throughout the game is androids, they have been treated like trash. They've been talked down to. They've been you know they've been beaten. Like, in the game, there is parts of the games where there would be rallies in the game where people would be like fighting the androids, even though the androids are dead. Like, there's one part where one of the characters you play as, Marcus, he's walking down the street because he's trying to get some materials for the dude he's taking care of, the old guy. Carl, he's taking care of it. He's getting some paint materials. And as he's walking out of nowhere, a group of protesters who protest against androids taking their jobs just start beating on him and stuff. And so that's kind of what the game is kind of primarily based around. You are an android and you're just trying to get humans to accept you and accept you to their society. Now, I'm gonna be it's probably gonna be a long video since there's a lot to discuss in this game, but I'm just gonna go ahead and jump all the way to it and be straightforward. This game is incredibly amazing. It deals with so much real world things, and it's kind of and one of the good things about it is because it takes place in the future, it kind of speak is because it takes place in the future, it kind of makes you think on today, because there'll be things in the future, like little news articles you can read that tell you about certain things like global warming, or how because you had big game hunters and stuff out there hunting animals and stuff, bunch of the animals went extinct, so they had to make android animals to you know for the future of humans, so little kids can learn about said animals. And that's one of the things that I really talk about. And it's pretty much it's the future. It's kind of like a future that we need to it's kind of it's saying this is the future that you shouldn't have, because even though all this stuff looks cool, like iPads without that metal backing, or you know headphones without headphones that are not breakable, or magazines that you don't even have to flip, all you have to do is swipe, stuff like that. That looks cool and that looks fun, but at the same time, that stuff is you know that stuff might look cool, but at the same time, you need to be like aware of what's going on around you, because there's a lot of things in this game that tells you what could happen if we don't, like, stop our bullshit now and get with the program. Now I'm gonna stop talking and let's get to the game. Now, you play as 3 characters: Connor, Marcus, and Kara. Each of them have their own story. Connor, he is a detective slash android detective. As in, he solved cases that involve androids. And he's also what you call a deviant hunter, as in he hunts down deviants or like defected androids. And he's practically like, his storyline is that he is a android who is like, he's conflicted at a point because of the fact that even though he's like, okay, even though he's an android that is programmed to hunt deviants and bring them into cyber life, at the same time he kind of agrees of like what the deviants are doing, because he's like, they shouldn't be treated that way. Like, even though that they're android, they should be beaten up, or they should be threatened, they shouldn't be, all this and all that. And that's one of the things that Connor kind of is conflicted about. He's like, the dude you work with, like with Connor, he works with a dude, Hank, or this case, I forgot the dude who played Hank. Like, he's right on the tip of my tongue, because I know he played like a bunch of characters. I want to say his name is Classity. Classy. I forgot his name, but I know his last name starts with C. But pretty much like, you as you play, Connor starts to become, depending on like what Connor does. Connor's storyline is like, your characters could die anytime in the story. So let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. Your characters could die anytime in the story. If Kara dies early, her story stops. If Marcus dies early, his story stops. With Connor, if he continues to die, then like, his story, he just keeps coming back. But his story is kind of altered, because if he continues to die in each chapter you play as him, he never becomes deep. He never becomes deviant. But if you keep him alive from like the beginning of the game to the end, you will get choices where you can become deviant with Carter. Now, like, that's really good. That's like, I totally forgot I was gay. Sorry, but that's everything you need to know about Connor, pretty much, practically. But like, one of the things about is Hank, he's trying to get like Connor to like not become a deviant, but he's trying to get Connor to be alive. Kind of like, he's trying to make Connor say, you don't have to act like you don't have to act like Android. You could be a human. You could talk like a human. You could walk like a human. You could like have emotions like a human. You don't have to be just a shell. So that's one of the things that Hank tries to get Connor to understand, and that's practically Connor's story arc right there in the game. Marcus's story arc is, Marcus is a not runaway android, but he was an android who was convicted for something that he didn't do. So he got dismantled and thrown into a junkyard, but they never shut him down. So he was able to get parts to like put himself back together, and end up he was able to crawl out of the dump and like survive. So after he crawled out of the dump, he met up, well, before he crawled out of the dump, he met an android that was dying, and the android had shared a memory with him. Like, that's what the androids can do. They can upload memories to each other or share memories through like contact, and well, not like sexual contact, but like hand-to-hand contact like that. And end up the android that Marcus found in the dump told him to go to this place called Jericho, which is a safe ground for runaway or deviant androids. And practically he goes there and he knows like the androids, they're dying, they need help, they can't survive and all that, and he's trying to help them. But at the same time, like, he's being like he's trying to help him. At the same time, he's conflicted too because like at the point you get to choose. It's kind of like the civil rights movement in a sense. Like you get to choose like who you are at that point because like Marcus, he could be like Martin Luther King and be like all pacifist and like just be pacifist, don't have to worry about things, or he could be like Malcolm X, who is kind of like you need to take action and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what Connor, not Connor, I'm sorry. It's you get their names mixed up. But Marcus's story arc, he's leading a revolution. He's trying to get androids to be free. He's giving androids their right to like, not, he's giving their androids the right to like free speech, vote, feelings, stuff like that. And it's like, it's really, it really reminds you of a lot of the civil rights movies because it's kind of set up that way, only with like instead of being like black people or immigrants and stuff like that, it's actual like robots. It's like a futuristic civil rights movie. Okay, next part character I want to talk about is Kara. Kara, she was the she's a android who was she was an android who, I'm trying to put it in a way you all understand, but she was an android who was trying to just protect the little girl practically. See, the little girl named Alice lived with a very abusive father. He did okay, so one of the things in Detroit Become Human is this drug named Red Ice. And Red Ice is like this drug that makes people go crazy. It's kind of like the new high in their reality. It's that new high. And Connor Connor and Hank, they're trying to find deviants, but at the same time solve the Red Ice problem. But and see, that's kind of like how it ties in with each other because like Alice's father was on Red Ice, so he was one of the people that they was trying to like get like the Red Ice, not the Red Ice from, but they was trying to like get him to stop taking Red Ice. And like one of the things that it another thing is that keep getting confused. I'm watching like Connor do his thing on here, but one of the things that Kara is doing, one of the things that I really put in Kara's storyline is kind of not child abuse, but child safety, because throughout Kara's story, you are taking care of a child who has been physically and verbally abused by her father on several occasions, and that's what kind of makes Kara go deviant because she sees her father about to beat her, and he's high, so he might like at the same time like the Bible says, spoil the rod. Well, I mean spoil the rod or spare the child, spoil the child, spare the rod. Whatever the Bible says, that's what you kind of do. But he was like, he was doing it because he felt bad about himself. He wasn't doing it because Alice was bad. He was doing it because, oh, I feel bad about myself. I'm a piece of shit like that. I'm no good. And that's why he was doing it. He wasn't doing it because, oh, that he was like evil. He was just doing it because you know how most divorced parents do. They go off down deep end, drinking, doing drugs and stuff. And that's kind of like how Alice's dad was doing it. He was doing drugs, and the drugs made him go crazy. And he was beating on her, and like that what made Kara go deviant because she saw someone in trouble and she knew she couldn't do anything, and like she loved Alice and she wanted to do everything to protect Alice. And when she saw Alice in trouble, you know, her directive was to stay right there and not move. She still kind of, she still said that's not right, I need to protect the girl. So she protects the girl and she runs out the girl and saving Alice. And throughout the whole game on Kara's storyline, right now, like okay, right now you're about to meet Kara because this is who, like, this first person view. this is who you're looking at through the eyes of Kara, and literally like Kara, like throughout the game, Kara's just taking care of Alice, and along the way you get help like Jerry, Ralph, Luther, Rose, and her son, and it's like they're helping you get across the border because of the fact that androids they're being destroyed because like Marcus, like I say, all these characters they intertwine with each other. So I am gonna say like things that come from other people, but Marcus, because he started a revolution uh, for androids to get their freedom, and androids have been okay because he Marcus start a revolution for androids to get freedom. More androids have been going deviant. So end up they have started like not concentration camps and stuff, but like camps to destroy the androids before they become deviant. Even though the androids aren't deviant, they're destroying all androids before they become deviant. So that's practically what's going on. Like they're all getting destroyed, and so Kara and Alice has to get across the border to Canada because Canada is the only place that don't have androids, which you find out during the game. Like throughout the game, you find out that androids are only in the United States. They're not anywhere else in the world. Like it's not like it's contained in a sense. It's contained. It's not like anywhere else in the world. So you don't have to. They didn't have to worry about it. So like Android. So she was trying to get across the border to Canada, where her and Alice could be free, and they didn't have to be like like you know slaves anymore. They didn't have to be like you know so they could be free practically. And pretty much like I said at the beginning, this game is a choice game. So there are multiple endings. There's not just like one ending. There are multiple endings. And I I'm gonna go ahead and try to see if I remember it because like I've played through this game so many times to get all the endings. I've like you don't know how badly my like eyes hurt from just sitting up playing the game. Like I haven't been getting sleep for the past couple days because I've been playing the game trying to get all the information, trying to get all the details down so I can do this review for y'all. But in the game, there are about like I totally wait, hold up. I forgot how many endings, but there are a good amount of endings. There are endings where like all your characters could die and they never come back. There's an ending where all your characters survive. There's an ending where Jericho gets their freedom. There's an ending where Jericho doesn't get their freedom. There's an ending where like Jericho does it where Jericho get their well actually there's two endings. There's an ending where Jericho get their freedom through a pacifist revolution, and then there's an ending where Jericho gets their freedom through a violent revolution. So there's two endings of that. There's an ending where Jericho gets their freedom, but end up Connor shoots and kills Marcus. There's an ending where Jericho gets their freedom, but Marcus is already dead, so Connor is the new leader of Jericho. There's an ending where Jericho do get their freedom, but Connor is like overtaken by a software system named Amanda, which take over his body. So now Amanda is the leader of Jericho. And I know y'all probably like, well, goddamn, man, there's a lot of endings. Like I said, there's are a lot of endings to this game. So don't get upset when I kind of it starts getting like very long and drawn out. So there's like an ending where like you set off a bomb in Detroit, killing everybody because like you're like if androids can't get their freedom, then like if androids can't get our freedom, then like no one can, I think, but it's set up like that. And there's another thing where it's like, oh, where androids are, where Connor, or I think it's North, Marcus's, depending on, like, one of the things that the game introduced is a relationship status. Kind of like, depending on how you act towards a certain character, your relationship can either go up or down. Like, for instance, with Hank and Connor, Connor can either have a foe relationship with Hank or a friend relationship with Hank. And with Marcus and North, you can have either a lover's relationship or a a hate relationship. Same for Jericho and Marcus, you can have a leader relationship or dictator relationship with Jericho. And then Alice and Kara, it's like you can either have a family relationship or distant relationship. So, like, Kara doesn't want, like, to be around Alice. She's just doing it because, just to do it. She really don't give a damn about Alice. And then there's another one where, like, Kara's like love Alice. She wants to protect Alice. But it's pretty much set up like that, practically. And like one and like but like I was saying, all the endings, where did I leave off on the endings? Yeah, North can become the leader of Jericho. Kara and Alice, they make it across the border undetected. Kara and Alice don't make it across the border. Kara and Alice make it across the border, only one of them die. And Kara and Alice, no, just Alice make it across the border because Kara sacrificed her life to get killed, killed, because there's like a part in the game where they're crossing the border and end up like,
Where the fuck you going, Tin Can?
like, there's a part of the game where they're crossing the border and end up like they're doing scans and stuff to see who are androids, because like I said, in the game Canada, they didn't want no androids, and like they was doing the scans searching for androids and stuff. And there's like a choice where you can either just like don't sacrifice yourself and just try your best to sneak across the border, or like if you don't sacrifice yourself, you can guilt trip the guy who scans you into lay you across anyway, or you sacrifice yourself where you sacrifice yourself where only Alice gets across the border because they're so busy trying to kill you because you're an android. Alice just, slip on by onto freedom. But yeah, I think I named all the big endings, the major endings. But like the only major endings are like Jericho get their freedom and Jericho don't get their freedom. Those are the two major endings of the game. But otherwise, like, that's it. Now, one of the things I am going to talk about this game is that this game has amazing graphics because of it has really amazing graphics because of the game, because the game was mocap, so it has a really amazing graphics, and it was like really well thought out and good. And I feel like the reason why the game did so good was because of the fact of how long it was in development. See, the game at first wasn't even supposed to even be called Detroit Becomes Human. It was supposed to be called Kara, telling you the story of Kara and Alice, and how she was an android, and how she wanted to like protect Alice, while at the same time, you know, you know, try to fit in as a human. And like at first it was just like a little like, oh, look, let's just mess around idea, like let's just no just like a little bullshit idea. Let's not bullshit idea, but it's just a little like, oh, let's just mess around this idea. Then like people kind of liked it because it was like, you know, it actually kind of had an intriguing story. And up that's how they came up with Detroit Becomes Human. So they started doing more game. They started doing more development, and as they did more development, it kind of changed because the story. See, that's why that's probably why the story did so good. Could change like multiple times. It didn't stay one story because like this game came out in like 20. This game was announced in 2012, the year the Mayans thought the world was gonna end. This game came out in 2012, and the game didn't come out in 2012. The game was announced in 2012, and it came out in 2018. So they had
You coming?
a long, long time to program the game, develop the scenes, develop the characters. So like
You've been gone
this
for 2 weeks, so
game,
the place is
cause
a mess.
like
You do
games
the
like
housework, the washing,
Dave,
or cook the
some of
meals,
David
and
Cage
you take
games
care of.
suck, but the main games
God
that
damn it! When the
he
fuck's
really
he
did
back
good
home
on
now?
was this
Alice!
game,
Alice!
Beyond Two Souls, and Heavy
Oh,
Rain.
there you are.
And
That's
I feel
Alice.
like the
You look
reason why he
after
did
her.
so good on those games
Don't
because
worry,
of
she's
the
bad.
development
All that
time,
crap.
because he had long
Got it?
time in development.
Yes,
And
Dad.
he kind of like,
Get started down here, then you go
because he
upstairs.
had like a long time to develop the game, he had time to say, well, oh, I think this part we need to change this part. I think we need to add something in this part, instead of just working on it how most games do for like a year or two and end up like the game be total and utter trash.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like this game makes up a lot of stuff it because of the fact that it it actually sits up there and you know it kind of makes up for like most games David Cage has made and produced. And it's like it's very good. It's like extremely good. And one of the things about this game is that it kind of, for people like me, I'm a big fan of like video games. I love video games, but at the same time I love being an engineer. So stuff like this, like all this like technology, this made me like I loved it. Like it made me fall in love with this game because this stuff like having like ordering
Kara,
something by
Yes, Todd?
by
bring me a
using
cold
your
beer.
temple, because I look
Right away.
like that LAD on the side of her head, she could like just sit up there and she could order stuff by just thinking about it, or she could sit up there and like make a payment by just saying, oh, like kind of like how
I've made a good
Marcus
start down
did
here.
when he made
Now
that
head
payment
upstairs.
where like the dude was
Told you
like,
the
oh, it's
would stop bothering
62
you.
something something, and he was like, oh, 62, okay, and he just like, you know, just thought about $62 and he automatically whoop transfer it to the dude. Like stuff like that. That seems like so useful in the real world, and it seems like something
That's it.
that can help us as a society. And I feel like
I
in a
just kind of tidy up your
sense,
room a little. I only
androids
need 2
could help
minutes.
us
That
as
okay,
a
Alice?
society, but at the same time, I feel like the reason why so many androids in this game,
Alice in Wonderland.
so many.
Of course.
See, I feel like one of the things this game really kind of touch bases on is like emotion. It really touches your emotions a lot. There's like a lot of things in this game that touches you with your that touches your emotions and make you feel so connected with the characters, and it really do make you feel like you're in their world. You're experiencing what they're experiencing. And it's a very good game and I love it. Like I if I could play if I could play a game like this, maybe if another company was to make a game like this, I'd probably play that game too. Cause this game was well thought out. It was extremely good. And it plays on your emotions so good, and it kind of makes you think a lot about your future and like the future of technology of how things could like possibly get depending on how us as a society see the world. Because one of the things about the androids is the reason why they're going deviant is because of humans. Like
I'm
we
sure we used to
we
be
sat
friends before
there
I was
and we
reset.
well, not us
Maybe I
as
can be
humans
friends
now, but
again.
I'm talking about these humans in the future. They sat there and they treat the androids like shit and
Your
never
father
listened to
said
the
you chose my
androids, and
name.
that's why they're in the predicament they are in now.
Kara.
Why their
That's
androids are
nice.
going deviant and
How did
not
you
doing
choose
what
it?
they're saying because they're sick and tired of your bullshit. They don't want to sit there. It's like a it's
You
like
should
a
tell me about
parent.
yourself.
You're a
What you
child
like to do, where you
and
like to
you're
go,
gonna sit there
your
and you're
favorite
just gonna
foods. That would
be
really
mean
help
to the
me.
child and constantly like I mean, if not the child, I mean
What about
the
Kara?
child's gonna constantly be mean to the
How's she not
parent
here soon?
and sit there and disrespect the parent, and the parent beats you, beats the child, and the child still's gonna be disrespectful to you after that. At the same time, like that parent's gonna be like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. And that's kind of like how the androids are. They deal these humans in the game. They want to sit there and treat them like crap and just like you know they're treated like crap. They're beaten up. They are like bully. They are talked down to. And then when they don't want to do your BS or your bullshit, you want to sit up there and get mad and want to like break them and all that. It's kind of like a point like a actual Android phone. Like if the phone, if you don't take care of the phone requirements, as in if you don't constantly drop it a lot, or if you don't like sit up there and charge it frequently or stuff like that, it's gonna eventually like stop working and it's gonna break and it's not gonna do what you say anymore. So this is like how I see the game. Like some other people might see the game a different way, but I see the game as like one. I see the game as the civil rights movement of 2035. That's literally how I see the game. The civil rights movement 2035. The game is like so good. It has so many good things going for it. And I think that's everything I wanted to cover about the game. Cause there's like it does have some bad things going on with the game. Like some of the things in the game are kind of like shitty. Like a lot of things in the game didn't make a lot of sense, but at the same time, it kind of made up that and made up for its incredibly good storytelling and like development and stuff. So it's kind of like
What are you doing?
it's kind of
I'm
like
playing.
better.
Playing.
It's in a sense, it's kind of like the game had like some of the things in the game weren't logical,
Life. Huh?
kind of like,
Fucking loser.
but at the same time,
Job. Take care of
it
his family.
made up with the good
Don't
story.
you think
Like
I
some of the
tried to
things
make
that the
things
characters
work?
did, like weren't logical
Whatever I
in
do,
a
when someone
sense,
comes
or
along, they
didn't
just
make
fuck it all
sense
up.
at all whatsoever. But it made up, but the story made up for that, so that's why I feel like it did good. Like if the story didn't make up for that, I would have been giving it saying this game was amazing. I would have been saying that this game was horrible. But because of its good storytelling, good graphics, and like the characters within the game, it makes up for all like the bad things in the game. It makes up for all of that. That's why I say that I
I love you.
I really want a sequel to this game. I really wish that David Cage would develop at least like a sequel or something to this game. 'Cause this game is so amazing. The story is so intriguing, and I would love to see like what happens after like they got their freedom. Like what happens? Do they just like does it like just sit there and be like, oh well, they get their freedom and yada yada yada, or do they make a new game in the same world as Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, and Heavy Rain? Because like there are like instances, Easter eggs in the game that will refer back to the old games. Kind of like there's a movie theater that's playing a movie called Infinity and Beyond, and a man of two men one soul, and that's a reference to if you mix up the words and put them together, you will see the sentence beyond two souls. and that's a little Easter egg too. And another good Easter egg is inside of Carl's house, which we are in right now, playing as Marcus. There's like a not statue, but there's like a shelf with a bunch of trophies and stuff on it, and artwork. And one of the artworks is a giant origami figure, a giant origami figure. If anybody know, anybody who played Heavy Rain, the big thing about Heavy Rain was there was this killer named the Origami Killer, or how they said the Origami Killer, but it was the Origami Killer. So that was like a big thing too. So like I hope like next game they make take place in the world, same place in the world of Detroit Become Human, and it actually does like continue on forward in the story, because like Heavy Rain, it was like Heavy Rain kind of felt like a early 2000s vibe, while Beyond Two Souls felt like a like late 2010 vibe, while this makes you feel like a futuristic 10,000s vibe. That's why I feel like the next game they should make should be a game that kind of takes place after this or takes place before this, telling you the story of how this came to be, or you know, stuff like that, kind of give you a little more, not kind of give you a little more, kind of like expanding the like universe. And if they was to do that, I'll probably watch it. It's probably because like this game, it really does everything everybody loves, and it's an amazing game. And I keep saying that, and I know y'all probably getting annoyed with me saying that, but it's an amazing game. Okay, I suggest for people out there who haven't played and games like this that have like story details where you can make your own choices and stuff like that. Games like that that have stuff like that. Those games are so amazing because they open up a whole new world to you, a whole new story, because you can choose your story. You can choose to be good, you can choose to be bad, you can choose to be you can choose to be neutral, you can choose to be anything you want in that world. And I feel like people should play games like that because it kind of like it's kind of like intriguing. It's kind of a game that makes you feel like, oh, this is something fun to play, while at the same time telling an amazing story. But other than that, I think that brings us to the end of my review for Detroit Becomes Human. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 8 out of 10, because of the fact that, like I said earlier, it doesn't have, some of the stuff in the game is not logical, but at the same time the story makes up for that logic, that illogical stuff. So that's why I say Detroit Becomes Human gets an 8 out of 10 on my scale or my thinking. But tell me down below what y'all think, because I might think something different. But like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Benji Plays Games, and I'll see y'all all in the next video. Love you all, and bye bye.